In previous seasons, we would look at a Mythic Plus 2 that was not completed as a very notable thing for obvious reasons, because the 2 back then was extremely easy. Like, at times where it felt like really one person could solo upgrade it. But after they made the crazy Mythic Plus changes they made in Season 4, all of that changes. Now I look at a 2 that is not in time as something very different and a very good learning moment for everybody out there. If you guys haven't been following the discussions on this channel, we've been talking heavily about the idea that from like 2 to say like maybe 10, maybe even up to like 13, 14, 15 last season, people were just not learning anything because the content was simply not challenging their characters. They were pretty much just chain double or triple upgrading every key. It would just be like hours of gameplay spent, but actually zero learning done while they're in those keys. So that all changes here in Season 4 and hopefully onward, but it's not always easy to see. You still see a lot of people out there getting carried, focusing only on DPS, not doing affixes, not doing mechanics that you should expect them to do, like we've even shown off this season in the videos. But my new fascination is now finding +2s that are clearly demonstrating the group in them is not ready for them. Because honestly, if you still fail a 2, it is the biggest wake-up call that Blizzard could offer you, right? There's nothing below this that you can fail. There's Mythic 0, which is challenging, yes, but with no timer and the ability to actually replace people, it's an entirely different atmosphere. This is the first true proving ground that you will come in through, and if you fail it too, you should definitely be thinking about what you could do differently and why it failed. So we're going to take a look at one of these today. I think this is probably one of the most clear examples of it, and I'm very eager to show it off, so let's get right to it. I love opening these videos by reading the emails you guys send me because sometimes there's some really clever and funny things in them. First thing that is said is, we take an unusual route at the start. I'm going to let you guys be the judge. What do you think about this route that we're about to pull off here? First pull, we are going to get the Bone Bolt Hunter and the Vicious Hyena. Now, if you follow just their names, I mean, Vicious Hyena, that does sound pretty dangerous, so I can see why people would want to be conservative out of the gate here. When we're sitting here fighting one mob on a tyrannical 2, yeah, I mean, I could kind of see why this doesn't upgrade, right? Out of the gate, you could imagine that this would be a part of the problem. Also, crazy composition. We have 3 warriors and 2 shaman. This is old school. This is a classic composition. These guys need Wind Fury real bad. We skipped the ones on the left, meaning we did not open a Tuskar cage, and I guess, in order to get 5, this is the way the guy wants to go ahead and do it. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with any of this too, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of different people that try different and creative ways through this part of the dungeon. So we're pulling this super aggressive pull of 3 mobs. All 3 are casters though, and you see at the very top we have the interrupt tracker. Interrupts are pretty much being used on cooldown here. Literally 8 interrupts just go out, and then the warrior says, "Interrupt, guys." Bro, there's literally been 10 or maybe even 12 or higher spells interrupted at this point. Is anybody even in danger? Nobody even needs to worry about these interrupts. Even if nobody interrupted, nothing would actually happen that would be causing a problem here. So it's stuff like that does worry me a little bit at the lower level, because I think these people are probably hyper focused on what other people are doing instead of just focusing on what's actually happening in the key. If you look at it from an objectivity standpoint, do we need to talk about people interrupting there? In no way, right? Not only are we actually using our interrupts pretty much on cooldown there, but we're interrupting spells that are simply not challenging anybody's health pool. So even if we weren't using our interrupts on cooldown, there's just no need to talk about it. And I think this is a really key thing about pugging, is the communication levels that people try to put forth often dictate the way the success of the key may go. But we do have our first actual death here, and this one kind of cracks me up. It's just a little physical humor that I wanted to show. Pay attention to our guy named Fart of Spirit, by the way. I don't know, I want to say great name, but yeah, I'm not sure I would say it's a great name, but you could kind of see his body. This is honestly kind of wild though. Look at, they put the toxic trap down, right? We know all about this mechanic from that priest gripping people into it. He actually moves out of it. Look at his character, right? It's the Murloc, and then he just backpedals into it, and it knocks him from one into the other. How the hell does that even happen? He's at pretty much full. He's 80% health here. He's gonna backpedal into it. It doesn't even come close to killing him, but he only dies because he gets knocked into the second one. But yeah, realistically, at this level, there's not really gonna be that many challenges in front of them. So I'm always eager to learn what things are causing problems that really probably don't cause problems at a higher level. Here comes the arrow. This is one thing that I often see at lower keys, especially that people submit me, where people aren't fully aware of how to handle this combination of mechanics. We go from the totem and the decayed senses to this arrow mechanic here, and as you see, whoever got that, I mean, I don't even know if they're still in the dungeon. They ran so far far away with that. He is going to get this mechanic, and he is just basically going to like max range leap away. Like where are you going? What are you doing? Perhaps confusing it for like a mechanic, the mechanic that like fixates you, or the whirlwind mechanic or something like that. But those are the kind of mistakes that like do harm their success rate. Because if you do that, like that mechanic type that poorly every time, then you're just like saying, I don't care to do DPS for the next 20 seconds. And I think like no matter what key level that is eventually going to add up. We're getting up to the trash before the second boss, and we see like this ground mechanic is causing the same issues we saw on the first boss. Movement of your character is probably the hardest thing for somebody who's getting like new to serious WoW Mythic Plus. That guy just basically stands in that. Like he just doesn't move far enough away. And here is another great example. Here we have that giant circle. That guy gets stunned. That Korgul guy, he actually just like runs like way too far away, just like he did on the first boss. This could easily wipe you on a higher key. Obviously at this level it's going to be totally inconsequential, but these are the kind of mistakes that we want to see get punished, because if you did this in a 2 back in season 3 or before, you'd not even care about it. Like unless the group is putting social pressure on you, like in this case the guy's going to admit to making the mistake, but nobody puts any actual social pressure on him, so they just continue on without any issue. If that was the way it got punished, like maybe you'd learn from it, maybe you'd remember it, but it all comes down to just positioning their characters there, right? Saw the same thing with the shaman, right? He just kind of walked into a mechanic, right? And I think like at the foundational level, positioning and moving your character is like the biggest skill that you can learn as a new player, but it may very well be the hardest to learn because it's not immediately obvious that it's going to be this big of a deal. Hopefully that's a wake-up call. Like hopefully he recognizes what actually happened there. Let's find another one that I think lulls people to sleep. We got the biting house going on here again. Warbleed, he's going to just get totally snacked on. There's not really much to look at on this fight, right? Like that fight is binary. If you die to the dogs, it's that. Like there's nothing else to discuss. You either got to take him through the trap or you got to put some range in between you. Tank should be moving the boss close to traps so melee DPS can use the traps. But probably a lot of times people just get lucky on this fight. Like if dogs just like randomly walk into a trap and people quickly kill them, then they probably never even realize that they can have a big impact on this fight. We are going to have one extra death. Like this is a tough one here too, man. Like the boss is at like 5% health, and then Fart of Spirit is going to have a fart of brain and just like watch those dogs just walk right into him and one-shot him, and then he's going to I tell you, here's a pro tip, guys. There's going to probably be a better use for it somewhere else. But we, like I said, we're not in any danger of not upgrading this key at this point. We have 10 full minutes for this last split, and we have 5 deaths. I'm not really even sure how some of this stuff is actually aggroing. I'm going to assume it's the tank. He like charges in here and grabs its War Scourge, and that just gets him way too close to that Rod Hexer. And at that point, like the other mobs turn. You can kind of see them up underneath the interrupt tracker. They just kind of show up, and it's continual social aggro that keeps pulling more and more of these mobs. These mobs aren't that dangerous, and you know, I think a lot of the danger is very dodgeable, but if you guys watch the footage I had in season 2, you're going to be able to tell that a lot of people are not ready to do these types of mechanics that kind of spread you out and make you move at certain times. We actually have the fear go out as well here. It is going to fear the other warrior. I'm not exactly sure how this guy doesn't get feared. You see the guy to his left, he's still attacking. He never got feared. That was weird, but and then perhaps in that pressure we kind of lose focus of the mechanics, and like, yeah, this is like a very famous thing. Like I said, we saw a lot in season 2 where people just aren't moving far enough out, and you see he just gets hit by that. Those things slaughter you, by the way. Like they will one-shot you on any level you do. Yeah, there's probably just no way to survive this at this point, but yeah, kind of just walking right back into it and dying there. So they're gonna have a full wipe. That is 6 deaths to 1 trash pack, because the shaman actually died twice there. Now the timer's definitely in play now. At this point, we probably need to be a little bit more aggressive if we want to try to make this up. We're gonna do just that. I don't know that like he realizes that this stuff is aggroed again. Kind of a good strategy, I feel like, especially if you have a way to stop all of these tasks. So the point of view of this is back here rezzing, so we can't exactly see what happens up here. Yeah, they just pulled like every mob in the video game right up here. The tank may be thinking like, all right, we need to elevate the pace, but look at the count. Like we are way over count at this point, bro. We do not need to fight all this stuff. So he says, my bad, I didn't know they would pull, and that may be true. Like, yeah, he may be literally doing this route, maybe trying to pull some of this stuff for the first time. What does Warbleed saying there? Tank Maluko KKKKKKKKKKK. I don't know what that means. You guys tell me. So they basically pulled the last boss with no time left. Like we have like less than 30 seconds left at this point. I don't know. I'm still shocked, man. 18 deaths is a lot. I get it no matter what the key level is, but a lot of their problems were just careless deaths. What do you guys think? What do you think was the main cause of them being unable to upgrade this key? Because okay, we see how this fight's going, but I don't really think anything went super poorly. And especially given like the last key we just reviewed where you double upgrade a 9 with people like in intentionally trolling makes you think like, man, what do you actually have to do wrong to fail a 2's timer? This is a really cool fight to tank though too, because you have full control over where all of these things spawn. So facing that cloud and spawning that totem in the right spot is a really crucial thing. But you see this guy making like a just pretty lackadaisical error here, hanging the boss in the middle of the room the entire time. The totem's dying like no problem whatsoever, but that's because it's a 2. And those are the types of things that I really hope won't continue to lull players into a false sense of security here. Like, when will this guy learn that he needs to contribute to this totem? It may not be until like a 10 or something like that, right? Like, but you see, even in this key, they're failing to kill the totem. You want to spawn that totem and you want to be there before it spawns as a tank to immediately start maximizing globals. That's how important this mechanic is, and not learning it at this level sets you up for like colossal failure down the road. But right on cue, they are actually going to wipe to this, and it's pretty much just because the totems people are just withering away. So the person who recorded this says kill totem, which is definitely good advice. Obviously, you need to kill the totem. But what isn't obvious about it when you say it like that is that you need to make better strategical decisions. People need to be there the second it spawns because you have a limited amount of seconds to fight it. So giving the advice of move the boss to the totem is far more beneficial. This is why recording the runs can be so beneficial, and this is why I think like looking at it from an educational standpoint, as well as like, you know, we could laugh a little bit, but there's so much that can be learned in these situations. I just hope that it can help people, because probably going to be more and more people playing next expansion and getting into it. Like, I feel like the game's on an uptrend. That's all I want to try to do here, is just kind of get that to register and help the pugging community be more intelligent and make better decisions, and they'll progress faster and everybody will be better for it. So they are only 7 minutes over. We got 129 points, and it's like everybody needs this key. But yeah, they actually do fail to upgrade a 2. This is not the like super stain of dishonor that it used to be if you failed a 2 back in season 3 or before. I'm really happy to see that they're being punished in ways that may not immediately register them, but hopefully is building that kind of library of information that they need to be better and need to succeed. In the past, like failing a 2 was like, wow, you guys didn't even try. Now failing a 2 is like, man, that was hard. And I'm really happy with this. I can't express that sentiment enough. So let me know what you guys think about this run. What would you say like the biggest takeaway is from this run? Biggest thing they can work on to do better? Because outside of that wipe to that last boss, like I really do feel like this should have been an upgradable key. Based on everything we see, like I could see all of this happening in a higher key and still upgrading it, you know? So let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. We will see you guys in the next one.